How to set up and configure test data automation jobs. Test data automation setup. So firstly, make sure you'll have your test data automation server installed. There's a separate video you can watch to show you how to do that. First thing to do is to run the VIP flow standalone to make sure it works and does what you expect it to do. Go through and add in any annotations to the parameters you care about, as these will be carried up into the forms that you will use to submit the jobs. You need to let VIP server know about the flows. There's a couple of different ways to do that. You can use a form, which is a spreadsheet, or you can do it directly from inside Modeler. You can run the flow from a form using the hopper process. And if you want to, you can export the form as a spreadsheet if you want to actually just fill in parameters in a spreadsheet, and then you can then use that spreadsheet to submit the requests. So let's go on and have a look to see how to do it. Okay, so this is a VIP flow. Now this is a data generation flow that is going to synthetically create some data into a database. Now there's lots of different types of flows that can be created. You could use some of the out-of-the-box ones like masking, subsetting, cloning, data generation. We may well have built one for you and sent it to you, or you could have built one yourself to maybe push and pull data into some APIs or whatever. Now the core thing is that you've actually created a bunch of parameters. Now here we've got a parameter, this one here, if we just look at the annotation on that. How many aggregate records? Now this is set to 2. If I just set that to 4 and I run this, this is now going to push 4 rows into a database. So let that finish. And that's populated 4 rows. Let's just have a look in the backend database. And there's the 4 rows that we've just created, like so. Now, the key thing is you're going to need a description for the user when they submit this to describe what the field is doing. So here I've got something like a group name, and if I come in here and edit the annotation, so you can see I've said buying group name rather than the more technical term, which is par buying group name. And I've gone through and all of the parameters they care about, I've actually just popped them in with annotations like so. Now I'm going to go up into Modeler, and what you need to do is to go to Profile, and you'll see Automation Servers. Now the server I'm working on is a server called Big One, like so. And you'll see here these are the processes that have probably just been installed by default. I've got quite a lot here, you'll probably have a few less. Now there's 2 different ways that we can expose the process up to the server. You can add it using directly using our REST server to go through it, or you can add it from a file. So we'll start with the REST server. Now if we click on this, now what this is going to do, it's going to display the location of the flows inside the Big One server, and there's one in here called data generation, and we'll look in there and we'll see order details, and you'll see one called details aggregate. Now let's go back to the flow. Whenever you're working with the flow yourself, you just need to make sure that you turn on the option save XML without view state. Now what will happen there is that in here it keeps a little XML file. Now that XML file is picked up by the server, and it contains all the information that the server needs with all the annotations and the data types, etc. You just got to remember, otherwise what might happen is when you go here you won't actually see it, there'll be nothing there. So let's just click on details aggregate and let's give it a name. The group is test data, and now all jobs should be set up as hopper jobs. I'm going to pick up a hopper type which is general, and the hopper subtype is, let's just use this for create orders, and then we're into the next step. Now what it's doing, it's pulling up all of the parameters that were defined. Now all of the parameters are brought in, every single parameter. So if you do need to change some fixed values, you can change them here. But in most cases, the best thing to do is just say remove all without description. So you just click on that, and I think there are about 30. And now what it's done is just put the parameters that we care about. Now this one, how many aggregate records? What you can do is you can move them around. So I can move this up to the top, which is how many do I want to create? Just drop that in the top, like so. And how many aggregate records, it's pulled that up. Now here you've got delivery method, and you can see we've got a text box. Now what I'm going to do here is pick a drop down, and I'm just going to put in a couple of choices here. Is statement sent? This is false true, so now this is going to be a checkbox, and is credit on hold? Again, this is a checkbox, trues and falses. That's the payment days. Customer category, again we're going to pick a drop down here, and let's just have local shop, and another one called chain. Under supply, again this is a checkbox, and package type name, again we're going to pick a drop down here, and we're just going to add each and add another one which would be package. Buying group name, and you can say some of them, this obviously has to be required, and the rest you can just leave like so, and you click on save, and a new server process was successfully created. Now what we can do, if we go over to VIP Executor, and if you look in test data, you'll see create details aggregate, which we just created here, and if you click on that, you'll see here we've actually created a little form, and you can see UPS, FedEx, so let's just create 5 of them. Statement on hold, under supply, let's make it a package, buying group name CSI, and all you've got to do now is click execute, and what will happen, this will now be pushed off into, if you go here and look for view jobs, you'll see a job which is in progress. And if you want to, you can go to the hopper jobs, because we've passed it off to the parallel engine. If you click on refresh, you'll see it running here, and that's created 5 rows. Let's go back up to here. It's worked, and we just go like so, and we can download the log flow like that. You can see it's very easy to go from a flow and allow you to just basically put it into the menuing option, which is what we've done into test data here. Now there's another way to do it, and what you can do is, if you're familiar with Automation Controller Master template, you should be familiar with this, but the idea is you can just create a simple spreadsheet which just has flows and parameters. Just take one of the examples and fill in with what you want. We've got create order summary here. This is the location of the flow, which is what the server needs. Over here we've given task type, obviously global, process group test data. That's just going to group the jobs into certain categories. It's general, and we're going to create a subtype of order summary. And then if you go to the parameters, you'll see here we've got delivery method, etc., etc., trues and falses, and here we've got drop downs, and there's a special basically square bracket in double quotes, and checkboxes and drop downs. Now all I have to do, again, go back to automation servers, big one, and click add from file, go and find the file, and I've called it order details form. Click on save, it'll go down the bottom, and if you have a quick look at it, you can just see that it's been brought in. And same concept, we can go now to VIP Executor, we'll go into test data, you can see it's gone up to 7 now, create order summary, and you have the same FedEx, credit on hold, let's make that 7 days. Buying group, let's make it HQ, how many rows, let's make 10 of them, and let's click execute. Now let's just stay on this screen and watch what happens here, and you'll see a little triangle here, and it's actually created a little hopper job underneath it, and you can see what's going on. That's worked, and then you can actually just have a look at the log here, and again that's going to show you that it's created 10 rows, and then if we pop over to here, you'll see that we've pushed the data in FedEx, UPS, HQ, CSI, like so. Now the next thing we want to do is we want to be able to give to our users just a spreadsheet, because sometimes it's easier for them to just fill in a spreadsheet with all the data scenarios that they want, and you'll see a little task script called Excel templates, and what we want to do is create an Excel sheet to submit requests. So if you just come here, now what it's going to do is going to show you the forms that we were creating. So one of them was, we'll just pick up one of these, create details aggregate, click execute, and we've got a results.zip file. Let's just open that up, and here we've got a little form. I'm just going to a little Excel spreadsheet rather. I'm just going to edit that, and what we're going to do now is we're going to just save that. Now you don't need to mess around with this too much, all you really care about is this. So what I'm going to do is actually I want to do 4 of them, so let's just do 4 like so. And here I can come through and say I want 5 of those, 10 of those, two of those. I want these to be true, true. Let's do these as 7 days, 7 days. Let's do this HQ. And what you'll see here is that actually we've pulled in from our definition some drop downs here. So as we're going through, you can actually see some drop downs that we've filled in like so. So that's easy for you to fill them in. And actually those are all stored over in the configuration file here, which allows us to, you've pulled in all the drop downs that we had originally in the form, making life a bit easier. And I can put my email address in there like so, any notes, and I can just save this. And then all I have to do is go back into Modeler, and if I go back to the Excel templates, now here I'm going to submit a request using Excel, so we're just going to go off and choose that file, and there it is. Click on execute, and again what you'll see here now, let's just stay on this one, that this has now submitted for individual publishers, and you can see it's recorded 4, 5, 10 and 2, which is what we filled in the spreadsheet. So this method allows you to in effect do lots and lots of scenarios by simply filling in a spreadsheet. Okay, so that's it. So go and find your first flow and convert it into a form, fire it off through the front end, and then after you've done that, convert it into a spreadsheet and let users fill in the spreadsheet and then request data using that method. Thank you.